Well, good morning, everyone. It's September 24th. We are a couple days into fall. By way of introduction, my name is Thomas Pace. I am the current CASH chair, and my day job is I'm the director of facilities for San Bernardino City Unified, which is where I'm at this morning. I always start by listing off the national day. Today is the National Day of Cherries, so today is Cherry Day. And I learned something new about today when I woke up that on this day in 1952, Kentucky Fried Chicken opened its first franchise in Salt Lake City, Utah, not Kentucky. And I learned that the colonel was not a colonel, he was a private. So the world is, changing in ways I didn't understand or don't understand. But first up, we're going to transition to the Division of State Architect update. And with us today, we have Chris Morton out of the Oakland office, if I got that right, sir. And so look forward to hearing from you on your update.
Great. Thank you, Tom. Yes, my name is Chris Morton. I'm the regional manager for the DSA Oakland office. I'm stepping in for Ida Claire today. So I'm going to share my screen briefly and walk through some slides that I believe are going to be available to you as well if they have not already been forwarded to you. Okay, can everyone see my screen? I hope so. Again, as I said, I'm the regional manager up here in Oakland. We have not, there it goes, okay. Office operations haven't changed over the last year or even the last month. I'm not sure what IDA is included in a previous submittal. Our offices are open Monday through Friday. The technical staff are typically in Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. That's usually when your back check appointments and things are. Their telework days are Monday and Friday. The offices are open 5 days a week, though, but just wanted to reiterate timing when appointments may be held in the offices for back checks or over the counters. A quick plug, we are hiring. We've been in a fairly good spot recently, but we are seeing as we get towards the end of the year, this is typical, that we do start seeing an increase in retirements, and we're anticipating that there will be some additional retirements throughout the DSA organization as we approach December and the end of the year. So we are hiring at all levels, administratively, architects, structural engineers, both plan review and in field, and fire life safety officers. So there's a QR code on our website. If you're aware of anybody that would be interested in coming to work with DSA, look into it further. I wanted to talk a little bit about project workload. I'm sure you're all interested in that. Our workload for the fiscal year, the statistics are there. San Diego and Los Angeles have been a bit busier than the Northern California regions. Oakland and Sacramento have been providing support where we can with work share and pulling projects from those other offices. But as you can see, with the first 3 months of the fiscal year, we've received a total of 616 projects with just over $3.1 billion in the cost distribution for those projects. It's early to compare to the past 6 years, but the pace that we're on for the current quarter of the year so far would exceed the prior fiscal year cost and roughly be equivalent on the number of projects. So I don't know if we're just seeing more bigger projects, escalation, or some combination thereof. But again, the projections are early. As you all are aware, we are going to have a code change at the end of the year. So I would anticipate that our submittal numbers that have started to grow here in the fall are going to grow even further through the end of the year. Current work on our desks, as you can see, again, the trend is that San Diego and Los Angeles have slightly higher project load than Oakland and Sacramento, but again, we continue to utilize workshare amongst all disciplines: structure, fire, life safety, and access. So where one office maybe is busy or slammed with workload, other offices that can step in are providing assistance where possible, or we are contracting projects out to third-party reviewers as well. This is work that is coming in September. September's still about a week away from finishing, so some of this is inclusive of upcoming registrations, projects that aren't quite in yet. But again, it tends to equalize. Sometimes you see regions that get a higher workload for 1 or 2 months, then they settle back down, and the other regions pick up. So things do tend to normalize. This next slide here is registered projects that we're seeing for October. With our 6-week registration, we're currently complete with projects that we're going to see in October, and we're registering out for early November now. But as you can see, in this case, the month of October, Los Angeles is going to get hit fairly significantly with work, both in a cost and a project number workload submittal as well. It's just some interesting facts on submittals that we've seen so far. So $42 billion in state and local bonds was passed in 2024. We're starting to see the impact of those bonds that were passed. Those projects are starting to trickle in. I would anticipate we're going to see more as we move forward in the next year. These last 3 months of the year, because we have a code change that's going into effect January 1st of 2026, typically the districts and the design teams like to clear their books and get the code established with what they know. Everyone's familiar with the 2022 CVC. We know what's in it. We know the items to look for. So we always see an increase in workload going into a code change. Usually things then drop off the following January, where the submittal volume is very light because people are pushing up their submittals to get that code established. The project needs to be submitted to our offices. Registration alone is not enough to determine the code. It needs to be a submitted project for that. We're also going to start seeing more work from the LA schools that were affected by the fires last January. We have provided priority processing for them. And then some of their large rebuild projects, the impact to the workload at the Los Angeles office would be such that it would really kind of freeze things up. So there's 3 large projects, campus rebuilds, that are being shared with the other 3 DSA offices as well. Each of us are getting that. So that's an organization-wide effort that we're undertaking to work with the school districts that were affected by the fires. The administrative code, while the building code goes into effect January 1st, the administrative code and regulations was effective April of 2025. Something you all should be aware of already, the structural and the access plan review fees were adjusted. This went into effect September 1st for projects submitted September 1st and later. The new fee schedule and calculator has been active on the DSA website, so your design team should be coming to you with reduced fees for projects that are being submitted after September 1st. We always encourage districts and design teams to meet with DSA for pre-application meetings. If there's any questions about projects, is submission required? Is it an IRA 22 type of project where some of the items may be exempt? Maybe the entire project doesn't need to be submitted. Find those things out early. Discuss them with DSA in advance, because the last thing that you want to find out is after the fact and try to navigate the issue in the heat of the moment there. If there's schedule, funding, or budget impacts to the project that DSA needs to be made aware of. Something that's a common example of that we're running into right now is a lot of solar projects in the NEM reimbursement rates that are being altered in April. So the requirements for some of the solar projects. If there's questions about code interpretations, or if you're looking at a project that's coming in early next year and want to discuss any potential new code requirements to it, please, we'd encourage you to come in and meet with us. The regional managers all sit in on these meetings, as well as the supervisors for their disciplines. So we try to provide you and your design teams the most up-to-date information to try to keep things from getting off track. We don't look to do gotcha moments. We don't want to do that. I know I personally want to get the best and most accurate information to design teams to try to have a smooth plan review. The Public School Construction Collaborative is a group that actually just met yesterday. This is a group of stakeholders from all sides, DSA, owner and district sides, design teams from architects, engineers, civil engineers, contractors, and there's been some good discussion about DSA policy issues, providing updates on proposed legislation or adopted legislation and how it's going to impact things. We had a very good roundtable discussion yesterday relating to cost escalation and impacts with your projects, concerns about escalation. That's top of everyone's mind on that. So this has been a good group. The recent vacancies were filled. If anyone has any additional interest in being a part of this group, if there's any future vacancies, reach out to Ida and let her know of your interest in this. I know the group and the stakeholders do rotate through, so we get different perspectives from different people on this. A little bit of a rulemaking update now. So it's hard to believe. I look at this and I think, man, we haven't even gotten the new code out yet, but the rulemaking group and headquarters is always a few steps ahead, and we're now from the point of adoption of the new code to now starting the process for the intervening code adoption cycle. So this portion is just, this path is just kicking off now in this area here where we're having council meetings, state agency workshops, proposed code changes, and just starting this process now. There are several stakeholder meetings. Some of them have already been held. The Cal Green stakeholder meeting was held last month. The Access stakeholder meeting is actually being held right this moment, right now. If anybody wants to drop off very quickly and jump into Access. And then the Structural Safety stakeholder meeting is scheduled for October the 2nd at 10 o'clock. So these are meetings that are open to everybody here. If you wish to attend, please subscribe. A few document updates. We had two recent bulletins that were issued, BU 2501. 2501 is something that gets updated roughly every 3 years because it deals with the pre-check extension and renewal requirements. So with the expected workload that we're getting at the end of the year and some other items, DSA has made the determination that we will continue to allow use of pre-checked projects, pre-checked buildings, shade structures, things like that have 2022 CBC pre-check approvals. Those 2022 approvals will be accepted for those items through December 31 of 2026. We anticipate that we will be getting some submittals for the pre-check renewals to 2025 CBC throughout the year next year. Now, if you have a current pre-check that you want to have renewed, you don't need to wait. You can submit it starting December 1st. That's when we'll start taking those. Or if you're looking to get a new pre-check approval for a new product, by all means submit that. But vendors and manufacturers do have the abilities to continue to use their 2022 CBC approved items and districts have the ability to still continue to use those products in project submittals throughout 2026. The pre-check renewals, I'm going to go to the table 3 that's referenced here shortly. Pre-checks renewals were typically reviewed in the office where the fabrication plant, the region it's located in. And that typically fell on 2 regions, Sacramento and San Diego. And it was a significant workload for those offices. So DSA has decided to share this workload amongst all of the offices. In 2501 is this table 3, which will indicate, depending on what the product is, which DSA office will be providing the plan review for that. Directions for the submittal, for the registration and submittal of that project are also included here. If there's any questions, please reach out to the regional manager for the office where this product is scheduled to be reviewed. Go back up to 2502. The current submittals are under the 2022 CBC. DSA will voluntarily take in, starting December 1st, projects that are designed to the 2025 CBC. They can only be taken in a month early because our staff need to have time to get all of the references as well as the training required for the implementation of this code. So we can't take them in October. If you have a project that you intend to have designed to the 2025 CBC, please let your design team know about BU 2502, and that the earliest that those projects can come in is for December 1st submittals. PR 1802 is a document related to Cal Green and Energy Code review that was recently updated. So the procedures for the reviews with the pre-check buildings and any alterations and how they are affected by the energy reviews would be indicated in this document. This document's effective December 1st of 2025. So I'd encourage, if there's any questions about this, to look through this document further. DSA IRA 4 was also updated early this year. There was some concerns with some project approvals that were being held up by the CGS approval. So DSA went through and reviewed the requirements of IRA 4, and we've updated that document to limit the number of geohazard reports that are requiring this. This update is not intended to increase the number of projects that are submitted to CGS. It actually serves to decrease the number of projects to try to reduce that bottleneck in there. There's some listed staff within each office that are the go-to professionals. If any of your design teams have questions about the IRA 4 and the CGS submittal requirements, so if there's any questions, I would encourage your design teams to reach out to them. We also updated PLO 702, which is relating to over-the-counter reviews. I've been a regional manager for about 2.5 years now. There's been some other regional managers that have started in that time frame as well. And with new faces coming in, it was a chance for us to look at the processes that we're doing in each of our offices. And we also realized that each office had gotten a little nuanced in how they're doing things. So we've tried to pull some consistency back in the approach with the registration, the fee submittal requirements, the document submittal requirements, the timing of such, and to get uniformity across all of the offices in our over-the-counter approach. As it stands now, the documents and the fees are submitted ahead of the scheduled appointment. The plan review is provided ahead of that scheduled appointment, and when your design teams come in for their over-the-counter appointment, it's to go through and go over the comments that that DSA has. all of this is in hopes that we're trying to improve the ability to get these projects approved day of or shortly thereafter if a back check is needed in here. This document does have some specific requirements of what is and what is not allowed under over-the-counter projects. One thing with access that's usually very difficult to do and can't be done over the counter is things where requests for unreasonable hardship are required. But there's also other requirements for fire life safety review and submittals that have fire sprinkler systems. Obviously, the more complex the project is, the more difficult it is to try to get it reviewed and approved within that 2-hour time frame. So if you or your design team have any questions about the over-the-counter, please look at the PL 0702. There was also something with the over the past year requirements for site safety plans. This is something that has hung up project approvals. This went into effect February 1. The site safety plan has always been something that has been required by the code, but the language requiring for the stated requirements for it was clarified. DSA is not reviewing the site safety plans. We're not looking at it for content. We're just looking to make sure that there is a site safety plan. This plan can be submitted with the 102 IC. There is a statement that your design teams need to include on the drawings. But again, we're just looking to make sure that there is a site safety plan. We're not reviewing the content of it. So please work out with your design teams ahead of project submittal if you have not already figured out site safety planning for construction projects. Emergency planning and preparedness. Knock on wood, it's been a quiet year, but obviously the early part of this year was some significant items with earthquakes up in the north part of California, the fires in Southern California. So just wanted to bring back to the top of your heads the requirements if there's a declared emergency or no declared emergency. If there's no declared emergency, contact your local DSA office for assistance. If there is a declared emergency, there's a specific process for following through to get assistance. And that starts with the local enforcement agency who will dispatch a DSA SAP review professional through Cal OES. So there are very specific requirements when it's a declared emergency. A new program that's going to be going into effect late this year and into next year is the Sustainable Schools Program. This is something that DSA has worked through a budget change procedure process to get additional staffing in a headquarters sustainability unit. There will be one architect in each office, each regional office for this, that will be assisting districts and design teams with their projects regarding sustainability review, intake, particularly relating to PC buildings, modular buildings, over the counters, and working to provide guidance on the evolving Cal Green and energy requirements in here. There's several resources available to you for sustainability education and outreach. There's resources through the DSA website, but there's also other links to other items from other agencies, but starting at the DSA website on our resources tab is a good place to start. Other trainings are going to be posted at the DSA Academy. Accessibility training, sustainability, the structural safety. The training that the DSA staff is going to receive on the 2025 code amendments will be posted as soon as we've received it and that training is put together. I think they're still finalizing that. The third-party consultants that will be doing plan review will be required to take that. So you can point them to the DSA Academy page under the resources tab as well to get into these other training modules. Just a quick plug, there's a QR code for subscribing to our mailing list if you're not already on it to get the latest and greatest information from DSA. That concludes my presentation. I know I ran through a lot of stuff. If there's any questions, please let me know.
I've got a question for you, Chris. So every time Ida gets on in the fall, her and I have a good discussion about USC football. One of our passions. And so seeing that you're from Oakland, Ida and I are both, and this may come on your performance review, but we want to know, what college allegiance do you have, sir?
I've already had discussions with Ida about this. Even though I'm from Oakland, I'm going to take it a step worse. I'm a UCLA guy.
Oh, oh.
and I think I'm having enough pain watching my team play this year that should be punishment enough.
No, that you said it, not I. So you know what? Good luck to you, and we appreciate your humor in it, and thank you for divulging your team, and appreciate all the work that DSA does on behalf of schools. I know that your job is laborious and technical, and school districts want things done fast and cheap. So we appreciate you keeping us on the right side of things.
Sure.
All right, up next, we have an update from John Gordon with the Department of Education.
Good morning. Glad to be on today, and hope to see a lot of you lovely faces in person. I know the Cashwell Conference is next month, and I'm expected to be there, as well as my director, Juan Morales, and one of our field reps, Angel Dowdy. So we are getting geared up to do that. I just have really just a couple of updates. We are
Well, John, before you start, do you have anything to say about Chris's allegiance to UCLA, or are you going to stay quiet on that one?
I stay quiet.
Okay.
We are CDE is working as we're nearing actually our, I would say, almost 40th anniversary of our guide to long range planning. We're updating that guidance in light of the facility master plan requirement under Prop 2. And so going through an internal process to provide some guidance as it relates to facility master plans, because a lot of what we're seeing is come out of Prop 2, some of those requirements. It's just touching different elements of a facility master plan and in the planning piece of it. And so we'll have a more, say, robust guidance that we can provide to districts if they're interested in reading. So I'm hoping to have something out, I would say, potentially at the end of the year, next year. We're finalizing a version of writing to it. It's a pretty robust document. So just stay tuned on that. Also, we're also moving our priority schools regulations forward. We just participated in OPSC stakeholder meeting here last week in regards to that. Now, I've just to kind of remind or brief folks on that, the priority schools program is mirroring our federal grant program that we have with the U.S. Department of Education, our Supporting America Schools Infrastructure program, which is our SASE program, in which for the priority schools program, we need to provide some regulations. So we're in that case, we'll have for SASE, we've kind of identified our universe when we developed the grant application. For the priority schools, there will be a list of criteria where a school district may qualify for to participate. And it'll be just kind of dependent on a point system, and that will be part of what the regulations include. And so with that, both of these programs are providing technical assistance. The hope is trying to build capacity for those districts that are in need. For SASE, we specifically were identifying our small school districts the priority school again will be on a point system. Small being a small school district is one of those four criteria in which you'd need to qualify for. And so that should be up and coming. I think we have to go through the State Board of Education. We're targeting November to start getting those regulations moving forward and perhaps launching the priority schools program sometime, hopefully next year. Once we get the regs approved, and then we have an RFP to get some contractors in to do the work. And I think the last thing I have to share is that as some of our partners with the SASE grant program, we are collaborating with the National Center Schools for School Facilities. I want to share this webinar for folks that are coming that's coming up here on next week. Our friend Jeff Vincent who's from UC Berkeley will be on this panel here on why and how school facilities matters for student success. So this is a free webinar. Feel free to register on the school/infrastructure.org webpage. There's a lot of different resources on there. I think it's good information. They're doing a series of webinars, as you can see there. And so we'll see something here coming in October as well as November, one dealing with facility master plans. And Dr. Vincent has done some work with CDE on facility master plans here in the past. So I think between our guidance document and what he's presenting, will probably merge pretty nicely. And then talking about facility condition assessment. So, oops, did I share that? There it is. So feel free to sign up, and I'll actually put that link there on the in the chat for those folks that are interested. And with that, that's what I got.
Well, thank you, John. I appreciate it.
Got it.
I am a big fan of master plans, and I think it's a stroke of genius to have it in Prop 2, because I think the more we know about our school facilities, the better decisions that we can make about the future of them. So I look forward to hearing from you guys about successful master planning.
Thank you.
And what allegiance, college allegiance do you have, John? I'm going to put you on the spot before you leave.
Sac State.
Okay. All right. Division
Well,
3. That's cool.
you know, I know. That's what. Well,
Sac State. I love it.
I just think of the two schools like USF was the other one, San Francisco, and well, Sac State, and you know, I think they're going to be doing things. They got Mike Bibby for basketball, and the football's not doing too bad. So who knows?
All right. Cool. What is the mascot of Sac State?
Well, the Hornets.
The Hornets. Like a nest? Like you guys like sting things?
That's right.
Like, oh, that's awesome. All right. Well, up next, we have Brian Lepask with OPSC, who apparently I can tell from the chat is a Georgia Bulldog fan. So, Georgia Bulldog fan, show yourself.
That's a lot of shade you're throwing on Sac State, Tom. I don't know about
it caught me off guard. I didn't know quite what to say. I wasn't expecting Sac State. I guess I should have.
Yeah.
I don't want to kick the hornet's nest. All right. It just caught me off guard.
Leave it at that. Good morning, everybody. It's nice to be here. I have a brief update today. As you've likely noticed, SAB was canceled, but we do have 2 more meetings scheduled this year for October 22nd and December 3rd. The workload that would have been presented to the September meeting will go to October, and there'll be no impact. I think most of you probably understand this, but if you had an unfunded approval that was scheduled for September, that's going to now be presented in October. You're still going to fall into the same priority funding certification window, which is opening November 12th and closes subsequent to the December meeting on December 11th is when that certification window closes. So from that perspective, the delay in approval is really of no consequence. So I just wanted to mention that for those of you that may have been concerned with the meeting being canceled. So yes, our next meeting is October 22nd. Some updates on our stakeholder meeting series. Like John mentioned, we had a meeting last week on the 18th. We don't have any others scheduled this month, but the 18th was a really great meeting. We had a really good discussion related to the small school district program. I wanted to thank CDE for coming to that meeting and discussing their upcoming regulation proposals, as it tied in nicely. Has a lot to do with small school districts, so it made a whole lot of sense for us to combine our efforts for that meeting. So thank you to the presenters from CDE and just for CDE in general. The collaboration is much appreciated. We're whittling down topics now for Prop 2. It's been a busy year. We've had a lot of progress being made. Wanted to thank everybody who took the time to come out and watch all the meetings or watching, either participating or watching them afterwards. We've had, I think, 16 of them or so this year. Especially those of you that have taken the time to send us your thoughts or suggestions. We really appreciate it. We don't have any meetings scheduled for the remainder of this month, but looking to October, we have one scheduled for October 9th. It's still a little bit tentative, but I'm not really too worried about that one working out. There should be some more formal information about that coming out soon. And then later in October, we're planning to bring forward a series. We're going to start a new series on the facility inspection tool. For those of you that are aware, maybe not, there was a recent audit report by the California State Auditor that made some suggestions on how to improve the fit. And so we're planning a series of meetings on that topic. For this first one, we're not making any proposals. We're just going to familiarize everybody with everything and a summary of what the suggestions were from CSA, a history of the fit, and kind of what the current status of it is. And then we'd like to take input. I would say we'll probably have several meetings on this topic that probably go through about February of next year, maybe later than that, hopefully not. I'm hoping it'll be pretty straightforward, but we'll see. It's an interesting topic. It generated a lot of interest last time, back in 2022, when we were making changes to it. So once everybody's back up to speed after that first meeting and we get some input, we'll bring forward some suggestions at that second meeting, and then we'll go from there on that one. Other Prop 2 topics that are still going through the stakeholder process or small school district program, probably need one more meeting at least on that one. Hopefully just one more, maybe two more, but probably one more. And then the 5-year facility master plan. So those will be coming soon. I don't know exactly when they're going to be presented back out again, but we're working hard on those right now. In fact, right before this, I got out of a big long meeting on the 5-year master plan. So we're working hard on that stuff and turning it around. We're also planning on kicking off the discussion for the lead and water program that came from Prop 2. We just are in the process of forming a new team at OPSC that's going to be charged with standing that program up. And then also they're going to be coordinating small school district outreach, coordination with CDE on that, and also just for the small school district program. So we'll have some more announcements about what exactly that means in the coming months or maybe weeks. But we have some stuff that we're putting together for like an outreach plan and education process for those small school districts that really need our help. We want to make sure that we're providing as much help and assistance to them and as much information as we can with the anticipation of the small school district program opening up. I think probably next November is where our regulations are at right now. Let's see, there's just two, I already mentioned one of them, but there's two non-Prop 2 topics that we're still working on at the moment. The fit is one of them, and then incorporating transitional kindergarten as its own grade level on the enrollment form, the form SAB 50-01, where we've been working on that. So those are still going too. And then at the October SAB meeting, we anticipate presenting regulations for energy efficiency and career technical education supplemental grants. That's not the career technical education facilities program, which we have a round coming next year. That's the supplemental grant, as well as the energy efficiency grant. And then we're also going to have second round modernization and facility hardship and seismic program regulations that we're bringing forward to October. And I think that's all the updates I have for today. I can answer.
We have a question in the chat, Brian. It says, do you have any dates for the first FIT meeting?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention that. We're shooting for October 30th. So that'll be a nice spooky meeting.
Well, and I hope that you don't try to employ a one-size-fits-all approach to the changes to the form.
To the fit?
Yeah.
Um, well, I guess it depends on what you mean, but there are some clear suggestions that came out of that CSA report. And so we'll be putting those out there and see what everybody thinks about that. And then we'll take input. Um, from what I know, the fit's working well. And so I know there could be some improvements we could probably make. And so we'll be looking for those types of things. But this just to remind everybody, it's not a required form. It's something that we put out in hopes that it would assist districts in doing those inspections. But I do know how widely used it is and how much people rely on it. So we want to make sure that it's the best form it can be. Um, we want to make sure that the form supports all the statutory requirements that go into creating that, and for the purposes of, I think it's used a lot for SARC funding. And so we just want to make sure that it's a good guide, that it provides clear information, that it's easy to use. We're also working on a better interface in our OPSC online database that would support it. So we're working on those things kind of in the background, but the hope is just to make it as clear and easy to use as possible.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, appreciate your time and enjoy the fall day in Sacramento.
Thank you.
And up next, we have Nancy Charez Espinoza to kick off our legislative update. Nancy, are you out there? Oh, there you are.
I am. Thank you, Tom. Happy to kick it off. Let's see. Let me get to the right screen. Okay. So the legislature ended session, specifically the first year of the 2-year session in mid-September, September 13th. And they will be in recess unless the governor calls a special election, which is always a chance. They will be in recess until January, probably January 5th. And they were supposed to have ended on Friday, but they actually had to extend by a day into September. And that was due to some late breaking budget work that they were doing, some trailer bills. And they do have the flexibility to just take it upon themselves and extend. In the first year, in the second year, it's a hard deadline. So Wednesday, the week they were supposed to end session, some bills were put into print, and the law does require that those be in print for at least 72 hours before they can take action. So that's what happened. The legislature and the governor were working out some big policy issues concurrently with reacting and responding to things that were happening politically in California and across the country. So one of the big results of that was ACA 8, which is on the ballot in November as Prop 50. This is a constitutional amendment to allow for mid-decade redistricting. They passed this bill about a month and a half before that actual election, which is a very, very short period of time to fundraise and to educate voters about that. So, as you can imagine, they had to begin that work while session was still going on. Getting back to bills, there were almost 2,400 bills introduced in session this year between the two houses. Of those, about a third of them passed and are now on the governor's desk or have been signed in the case of some budget legislation. The governor has 30 days from the end of session, so through October 13th at midnight to complete final actions, either sign or veto. He does thankfully like to finish ahead of schedule slightly. That despite the fact that he is in New York for Climate Week once again. So we are actually under acting Governor Eleni Kounalakis right now. But one of those bills on his desk is our cash-sponsored bill this year, AB 503, which would reinstate the authority for school districts to collect fees from outside users who use our facilities pursuant to the Civic Center Act, and the fee specific to repair, refurbishment, and restoration of our facilities. So AB 503 is on the governor's desk. If you haven't already, please send in your letter. The bill as an urgency measure would become law as soon as it is signed. With that, I'll pass it on to Rebecca for more updates.
Thank you, Nancy. Okay, so just want to talk a little bit about Proposition 2 implementation and then a note on another bill that's on the governor's desk. We very much appreciate all of the work with the Office of Public School Construction and the California Department of Education on implementing Proposition 2. As Brian mentioned, there's been lots of stakeholder activity since we all last met in August. Focused on implementing Proposition 2, and we're getting to some of the, the big issues, some of the meatier topics where CASH has been engaging and providing feedback. One thing I want to mention is that we'll be delving into this in a little bit more detail at the CASH Fall Conference, so please join us there. We have a general session presentation on Prop 2, where we are a year after its passage and where we are with implementation. We're actually looking forward to a bond sale this week to hopefully inform the first batch of apportionments out of Proposition 2. So we're very excited for that. On Proposition 2, a couple of things. Brian mentioned some of those topics that are still pending. One of those is the master plan, and I know we've had a lot of discussion about that new requirement and how that is implemented for projects that have already been submitted and projects that will be submitted into the future. Did want to thank and recognize OPSC for updating one of the recommendations and proposals that they had made previously. They had, and this is related to the term of a master plan. How long is your master plan good for in the eyes of OPSC once your board has approved that master plan? So a prior proposal from OPSC would have only allowed that master plan to be available for use for 1 year. And then after that, you'd need to do a new master plan. Well, we worked with OPSC to raise some concerns about that. And they have adjusted that, and they're now proposing that the plan is valid for 5 years. So that full term of a 5-year master plan. So we're really appreciative of that. A couple other things that have been incorporated into OPSC's proposal that we want to recognize are if there is a material change to your master plan, within that 5-year period, they're proposing that you have a self-certification to identify that material change. And then you can use a governing board resolution to update that component so that OPSC has the most up-to-date information. So we think that makes a lot of sense. And to Tom's point earlier, does help to provide that good information about how districts are planning for their facilities needs. The other thing on master plan that I just want to note is something that CASH was asking for, which is allowing districts to compile different documents. So rather than, some may not have all of the provisions that are in the statute within their existing master plan, or they may have documents that they already use that could be used to compile and create that master plan. So OPSC is recognizing that request and is proposing a new master plan checklist, which is a document to help you organize those documents into one package in order to meet the statutory requirements for the master plan. So again, we really appreciate the responsiveness of OPSC on this. It's been a lot to work through, and we can see the finish line coming up. Also wanted to mention that small school district program, which is something that we're very interested in and have been dialoguing with OPSC about as well. There was a prior proposal that OPSC had made related to how do you prioritize which which applications are funded in this new program. And the benefit of the new program is that there's a reservation of bond authority up front. So in particular, those financial hardship districts that come in for that two-step process where first you get your design funds and then you come back and you get your adjusted grant for construction, that in the pre-Prop 2 world, those that were within bond authority for their design apportionment may be outside of bond authority when they're ready to come back in for that adjusted grant. So the small school district program sets aside that bond authority up front, so it's there for you when you're ready to convert your project. So that's the benefit of the program. OPSC was thinking about how do you a proposal to prioritize districts that had not previously participated in the school facility program, and Cash raised some concerns about that, in particular related to districts that already have applications that have been submitted on the workload list or the acknowledged list, essentially being leapfrogged over by others. So we're really pleased that that proposal related to prioritizing has been removed, and OPSC is no longer moving forward with that. Shifting gears a little bit, I wanted to raise one bill that is on the governor's desk. That's AB 699 Stephanie, related to local bond ballot labels. We've talked about this many times throughout not just this year, but the years since 2017 when AB 195 was passed and changed the information that you put on that local bond ballot label. So that's the 75-word statement that voters see when they take out their ballot and they're filling in the bubbles that tells you about what the measure will do. We're really excited that the legislature did pass this bill. Cash is very supportive of AB 699, and it is currently on the governor's desk. I actually got a very lovely handwritten note from Assemblymember Stephanie this morning, thanking Cash for our partnership and participation and support on this bill. So we're really excited, and we hope that we've done enough through the legislative process to address the governor's concerns about transparency. He did veto a prior version of this bill a few years ago, and so we've shown good faith in trying to address those concerns. One way we've done that in this bill is to address more specifically the repayment of bonds. So just stating on the alternative fiscal statement that you might use in AB 699 that bonds are repaid. The statement would be, see county voter guide for how property taxes repay bonds. So there's an acknowledgement that this is related to voters' property taxes, and they know to go to the voter guide for more information about the measure and how they might be impacted. So the great thing about AB 699 is that it is an option. It's not a requirement. So if you like the current requirements for the ballot label language, which require you to state the rate, duration, and the amount that you expect to receive annually for a proposed tax measure, great, continue to do that. But if it doesn't make sense for your measure or your community, you've got this alternative that's in AB 699. So fingers crossed. And if your district wants to help get the message to the governor about how important this measure is, please reach out to me and I can help you get a letter into the governor to encourage him to sign that bill. All right, and with that, I will pass it to my colleague Ian.
Thank you, Rebecca and Nancy. Very nice work on the cash-sponsored bills. Always appreciate that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you about a couple of regulatory issues that relate to legislation. But what I'm going to flip up what I usually do here and talk about some cash maintenance network issues, and also the maintenance network has been merged with the cash maintenance, sustainability, environmental and sustainability committee, kind of addressing all of these issues. So really appreciated OPSC's identifying of this focus on the facility inspection tool, taking a look at it as a result of Proposition 2. Also, of course, the state auditor's report on custodial staffing and cleanliness standards. which is the reason for the discussion. So we appreciate that. Certainly, our committees would be very interested in that. We think the facility inspection tools has been very useful. And we look forward to improving it and adding our expertise from our members and with their experience and so on as we go through the process. So looking forward to that very much. Also, the lead and water issue, another issue that we've talked about. We know there's the component of that in the Prop 2 program. So definitely interested in that, and we'll be engaging there as well. So. And it's also, I think, very good timing. Rebecca mentioned the fall conference. These committees are having a school maintenance hot topics presentation during during the general session, actually. And we're going to focus on all of these issues. I'm going to give an update, a more complete update on some of the changes and some of the focus on the facility inspection tool, Williams issues in general. And then we're going to have some examples of and best practices with facilities inspections and updates on all these pieces, also including Prop 2 and the pieces that school maintenance folks will be interested in, planning your deferred maintenance plan, things like that. We're going to have 45 minutes to be able to dive pretty deeply into that. So we're looking forward to that. For more information, we hope you can make that presentation. In terms of the regulatory, one is that last year, there was a bill, AB 2149, that proposed significant new requirements and actions related to large swinging and sliding gates. Long story short, because of the fiscal impact and some of the significant programmatic issues, the bill did not make it through the process. But that's the good news. I would suppose the more concerning news is that Cal OSHA has proposed regulations related to gates of a certain size, swinging and sliding, essentially large gates. That currently has many of the attributes of the bill itself. So there's some concern there about the cost impact and also the facilities impact. Inspections, are there going to be enough inspectors and so on, all the issues that we bring up. So of course at the conference we'll know more and talk more about that. But currently we're working with other educational associations and stakeholders and considering submitting a coalition letter to express some of our concerns. So when we have something more tangible, we'll certainly post it on the CASH website and let folks know about that. But it's something to be mindful of and have on your TAC board, because as currently drafted, the regulations are pretty extensive and will definitely affect facilities and have a cost impact. So more on that, but something to keep in mind. The last one, my last update is on CalShape. I've had a lot of questions about CalShape. I will lead with, I can't answer very many of them right now. There's a fair amount of confusion over exactly the status of the program and so on. What we understand is that the program is not accepting new applications, but is still doing administrative oversight for reporting and so on for the projects that are already in the process. So we're trying to get more information about that, but that is where that stands. In terms of legislation, just as a reminder, there was a bill, AB 832 this year by Assemblyman Marisucci, that proposed basically a revival of the CalShape program. Long story short, it did not make it through the process. So that's kind of the quick CalShape update, not a whole lot. The other piece is, I will say, Teresa Pestaccini from the UC Davis group has been hired by the CEC, and they're doing some research on how many existing HVACs still are using the R22 refrigerant. That's another issue that we'll talk about, excuse me, at the fall conference in more detail. There is a new requirement on that, and so they're trying to get some information on that. So there are still things going around with CalShape and in this general area, but we're trying to get more clarity as to where exactly it is. But again, for the reporting and so on. But in terms of new applications, the program CalShape is closed down. So with that, those are my updates, unless there's any questions.
Thanks, Ian. And
All right.
I'm looking to see if there's any questions, and I don't think there are any. I will tell you the ceiling fan provided quite the mesmerizing image behind you. It kind of like lulled me to sleep there for a second. So
I will
it's a
say
psychedelic
it is a little
experience with the
distracting to
green in the
me. I think
background.
next time I'll do that. But yeah, it has a soothing effect though. So
It
yes.
does, a very soothing effect. And then with your voice, it was and the green, it's
Yeah,
I need a nap.
I try to bring the vibe. So yeah. Thank you, Tom.
Well, up next we have our School Energy Coalition update, and we're going to bring back Nancy. So Nancy, what do you have for us on the energy front?
Ian is always a vibe and a tough act to follow, but I will do my best. So last year, you may recall, SEC had a sponsored bill, SB 1374, to try to get schools some relief with respect to the NEM 3.0 solar energy tariff, which the legislature approved and the governor vetoed. Concurrent with that, there has been a lawsuit challenging the NEM 3.0 tariff, and specifically the fact that the CPUC did not take into consideration some of the benefits of solar. The Court of Appeal ruled against the plaintiffs and for the state, essentially saying that their decisions were not subject to judicial review. The California State Supreme Court just recently, last month, said, in fact, that this decision could be, or CPUC decisions could be subject to review. So it remanded the case back to the Court of Appeal, where it will essentially be reheard or argued. So no dates set, just something else that we are watching in coming months for those arguments and a possible decision as early as next year. So stay tuned on that. Other energy issues we're watching. When I mentioned that the legislature had to extend session for an extra day and those trailer bills were introduced, a big part of that was a six-piece package of energy bills that did several things. So I'll go through some highlights, not all of them. One thing it did was extended the state's cap and trade program, largely unchanged. And the reason for that was probably a theme that you'll hear me say a lot when I'm trying to recap on this year's session, bandwidth issues, right? There was a lot that the legislature was trying to tackle with respect to energy and not unrelated to energy. So this was one where there really just wasn't time for the kind of extensive discussion that it requires. So essentially, they just extended it without getting into those detailed discussions. Another feature of that package was a bill that would set up a Western United States, so a multi-state electricity grid. That's part of an effort for there to be a cleaner and more reliable grid as AI and the electrification of everything, including transportation, continues to increase demand for electricity. Another bill, it permits more crude oil production, specifically in Kern County. This is part of that affordability effort that has been a theme throughout the session. So trying to get energy to be at least not more expensive, if not more affordable in the state of California. And this bill was opposed by environmental groups. And last one I'll mention in this package was a bill to replenish the state's wildfire liability fund, a move that utilities viewed as favorable. And Last energy issue I'll mention, the federal landscape, of course, continues to evolve. The Inflation Reduction Act tax credits that schools have been able to receive are winding down. Some of those that are approaching soon are the credit for electric vehicles, including buses. Those must be purchased before September 30th if you're going to claim that credit. The credit for charging equipment also expires in June of next year. That one, the equipment must be put into service by that date in order to claim that credit. And there are, of course, more credits than that. So please look into those if you've got some energy projects coming online so that you can make sure to stay ahead of those deadlines. And that is all that I have for SEC.
Thank you, Nancy. We appreciate it. And I look forward to hearing what happens with NEM 3.0. It's been a saga. And I think we're going back to Ian for the federal network.
Yes, we are. Thank you very much, Tom. I did want to say, Nancy, that was, and others who participated, I thought those were good workshops, the joint workshops with Cash and SEC on energy issues. A lot of information there. So and there's a little bit of a connection here with the federal network. Our big news is that we have our dates in November for our Cash Federal Network trip back to DC, and there'll be more information and marketing going out soon, but those will be November 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th. The first and last essentially travel days. That's the week before Thanksgiving. So there's a lot of issues going on even right now with some of the discussions about the budget and the fate of some education programs and funding. So we'll, of course, be following that. And when we go back, talking about those issues, as well as the issues that Nancy talked about, as well as about in terms of some of the energy tax credits, and some of the other energy programs. So that's it for now. Thanks.
Thank you, Ian. And up next, we have our conference updates for both fall and annual. So, Brooke, floor is yours. Looking forward to hearing about our conferences.
All right. Thank you, Tom. Pretty much everybody that spoke today has talked about the fall conference, so it sounds like everybody's very excited. We are exactly 3 weeks away from the conference. It will be held at the Hyatt Regency in Irvine, so make sure you take note of the new location. I know we've mentioned it multiple times, so please be sure you don't show up at the wrong Hyatt or the wrong Hyatt. Registration for the conference closes this Friday, so if you haven't registered, please be sure to register by this Friday. That's for the online registration. If you missed that opportunity to get registered, you can register on site, but that will need your business card, so please be sure to bring a business card to register on site. The conference is jam-packed with a lot of information, as you've heard from some of the people that will be presenting. On Wednesday is the pre-conference, and the topic is Lead the Future of School Facilities, and it'll be packed with leadership and development opportunities for people that are looking to grow in their current position in their role. Thursday, the 16th, we will have our economist. It'll be Jerry Nicholsberg from UCLA. So excited to have him join us and do a presentation on the current state of the economy. There'll be presentations on construction cost and AI in the future. Both John and Rebecca had mentioned Prop 2 updates, so they'll dive deeper into some of the updates for the Proposition 2. There'll be a topic about employee housing, and then we'll wrap it up with my favorite, which Ian had commented on, was the maintenance hot topic. So please be sure to be there for all of those sessions on Thursday. And then Friday the 17th, there'll be the state agency updates, followed by the ledge and policy issues, as well as litigation and legal issues. So again, reminder, the registration closes this Friday, so please be sure to get yourself registered and show up at the Hyatt Regency in Irvine and enjoy a really wonderful conference. All right, next slide. We are also working on planning for the annual conference that will be held February 25th through the 27th in Sacramento at the Convention Center. We have finalized all the workshops, and everybody who has submitted a workshop has been notified if their workshop was selected or not. At the fall conference, we will be sharing a brochure. It will have all the topics for the annual conference, so you'll kind of get a sneak peek at what we will be having at the annual conference. As far as the schedule for the annual conference, there's a couple of things that you might want to take note of. On Tuesday, February 24th, we will have Top Golf from 3 to 6 o'clock in Roseville. And then on Tuesday, February 24th, we will follow that up with the Cash Bash that we had last year. We're bringing that back again. And that will be from 7 to 9. We haven't determined a location, but we do plan to have that. So if you want to enjoy some of those early opportunities of networking and working with other people, please be sure to be there on Tuesday to attend both of those events. I do want to take note of one change for the annual conference that may catch some people off guard. We're changing the general session luncheon to be on Wednesday rather than Thursday. So that's where we will have our keynote speaker. We will all come together and talk about some of the new topics with cash and everything. So please mark your calendars if you want to be a part of the general session, to be there on Wednesday for that. Thursday will be then a lunch on your own. So if you want to plan to network or work or just collaborate with other people, Thursday would be a great opportunity to set some lunch opportunities with other people. The registration for the annual conference will open in October, so please keep your eyes and ears out, and we will be sending out all those notifications through Cash. And that's it.
Perfect. Thanks, Brooke. It took me a second to unmute myself there.
That's great.
Up
You want
next,
to?
yeah,
Okay.
I'm going to take the job exchange because not only are the people of Rockland looking to hire good people, so is Cash. So if you're interested in a senior director of facilities maintenance and operations, Rockland is looking for someone. But I am teasing the fact that Cash also has some opportunities where we can put you to work. We have a call for nominations for the Cash Board of Directors. We're looking to fill one private sector position, deadline October 3rd. And beyond the Cash Board, we are looking for 2 new core instructors for the School Facilities Leadership Academy, or SFLA, as well as 2 core instructors for CMOLA, the Cash Maintenance and Operations Leadership Academy. So if you're interested in any of these positions and think that you would be a good fit, you have the deadlines and you know who to contact. So not only is Rockland looking to hire, but so are we. And with that, unless there's any other questions, I think we will come to a conclusion. But remember, our next Cash Day will be held virtually and in person, Wednesday, October 22nd, from 11 to 12:15. And with that, I always try to promise people that we start meetings on time and end on time, and it looks like we're going to finish a few minutes early. So with that, have a great rest of your day and look forward to seeing you next month. Appreciate everyone.